I am 103 years old. People constantly ask me about the biggest physical threat to my daily survival. They expect me to say heart disease or a slippery bathroom rug. They are completely wrong. The most dangerous thing in my house is my mailbox. It delivers pure poison every single afternoon. I receive a daily stack of thick, glossy brochures from the billion-dollar senior living industry. These heavy pamphlets always feature stock photo actors. They wear matching beige sweaters. They stare blankly at incomplete jigsaw puzzles. These companies desperately want to convince me that my beloved living room is a sudden death trap. This entire industry operates on a very simple business model. They sell absolute panic. They do not market this garbage directly to us. They deliberately target the quiet, exhausting anxiety of our adult children. They whisper terrifying scenarios into the ears of your kids. They plant deep seeds of fear. They turn your familiar kitchen into an imaginary hazard zone. Their ultimate goal is quite clear. They want to herd you into an outdated model of aging. They expect you to trade your hard-earned assets and your personal freedom for a completely fabricated sense of safety. I call this nonsense the senior safety panic. Giving in to this aggressive intimidation means handing over the pen. You end up losing control of your own life story. I absolutely refuse to sign away my daily freedom. My home is my carefully curated retreat. It is my fortress. I plan to protect my personal kingdom until my very last breath. I need my own space to keep my brain sparkle bright and alive. Well, you simply cannot have a happy ending to a miserable journey. Today, I will give you my 3 iron rules. You will learn exactly how to reject this stericyl panic. We will defend your borders together. I am sitting at my scarred oak kitchen table right now. The morning sun hits the dust motes dancing in the air. I am drinking my black coffee from a chipped ceramic mug. I am staring at a horrible pamphlet. My lovely daughter left it on the kitchen counter yesterday. The front cover features a ridiculous stock photo. It shows a perfectly styled young woman hugging a frail, elderly lady. The older woman looks like a confused ghost. The bold, glossy text makes a sick promise. It promises to make my child a daughter again. I absolutely hate this manipulative phrase. The billion-dollar senior living industry uses this specific psychological trick everywhere. They call it business-to-family marketing. They do not market their services to me. They know my sharp mind. I see right through their nonsense. They bypass the actual senior completely. They go straight for the soft underbelly of the adult children. They exploit the quiet exhaustion of the working generation. They whisper terrible, dark things into my daughter's ear. They label me a crushing emotional burden. They blame my daily existence for her lost personal peace. They demand a massive check to save our sacred relationship. They want her to pay $10,000 a month. They want to lock me in an administrative cage. It makes my blood boil. Let us get one crucial thing straight today. I am a fierce mother. I am not a miserable laundry list of exhausting tasks. I wash dirty cloth diapers for 3 ungrateful toddlers. I stayed up through countless midnight fevers with a cool washcloth. I paid off a 30-year mortgage with pure sweat and overtime. I built the soul of this house brick by heavy brick. Now these corporate vultures want to label my sanctuary a danger zone. They want my daughter to view me as a ticking medical time bomb. This is just a greedy trick to put a price tag on our family. They commercialize our unconditional love. They turn genuine family connection into a premium paid subscription service. I handled this immediately. I sat my daughter down last Sunday afternoon. I poured her a strong cup of black tea. I looked her right in her worried eyes. I reject corporate facilities for my human dignity. Our mother-daughter relationship requires no paid corp rescue mission. This is my house. I make the rules. I ordered her to throw those shiny brochures directly in the trash can. We are doing just fine on our own. We will navigate this complicated chapter like a real family. We will never act like mere customers in a waiting room. This brings me to my second ironclad rule for survival. You must stop letting them turn your normal daily habits into a medical crisis. These greedy companies absolutely love to treat a normal aging body like it is a terrible disease. They watch us older folks living alone in our quiet houses. They take every tiny daily habit. They twist it into a catastrophic medical warning. I experienced this exact nonsense just last week. It was raining incredibly hard on a cold Tuesday night. My joints were aching a little bit from the damp weather. I did not feel like cooking a heavy, complicated meal. I made myself 2 simple slices of sourdough toast with thick butter. I brewed a weak cup of Earl Grey tea. I ate my quiet dinner in the armchair while watching a classic black and white movie. A visiting care coordinator saw the breadcrumbs on my plate the next morning. She gasped dramatically. She scribbled frantically on her expensive digital clipboard. She officially diagnosed me with tea and toast syndrome. She lectured me for 20 minutes about severe malnutrition. She actually warned my son about my rapidly failing cognitive state over a voicemail. I had to laugh out loud right in her face. I simply wanted a light dinner. I did not trigger a systemic health crisis requiring immediate institutionalization. I call this delightful rebellion dietary anarchy. I am the chief executive officer of my own physical body. I have successfully survived on this earth for over a century. I know my stomach's desires on a rainy Tuesday evening. Sometimes I eat a bowl of vanilla ice cream for breakfast. Sometimes I eat a heavy, rare steak at noon. This is the hard-earned luxury of old age. We are no longer building dense muscle for the factory line. We are simply enjoying our health span. We are focusing on comfortable, healthy aging through evidence-based habits. We refuse to treat every dropped soup spoon as a catastrophic neurological disaster. I might trip over my own fuzzy slippers in the hallway. I am just being clumsy. I am not a tragic fall risk statistic waiting to break a hip. The senior industry tries to terrify you into constant, suffocating monitoring. They want pressure sensors hidden under your mattress. They want motion cameras installed in your private hallway. They want to track your bathroom visits on a smartphone app. I handle these invasive suggestions with the grave rock method. I nod very politely. I smile sweetly like a confused old lady. I ignore absolutely everything. I refuse to be treated like a foolish, fragile patient in my own dining room. I am a grown woman living a vivid life. Well, I plan to keep my thermostat sovereignty until the very end. This brings me to my third and final rule today. You must forcefully reject the sterile cage. My dear friend Martha moved into an expensive assisted living facility last autumn. Her youngest son practically forced the issue. He lived 3 states away. He wanted absolute peace of mind for himself. He did not care about her actual daily happiness. I drove my old sedan to visit her on a very rainy Thursday afternoon. The massive facility sat on a perfectly manicured green lawn. The automatic front doors slid open like a grand luxury hotel. They built a giant water fountain right in the main lobby. They arranged expensive fake silk orchids on every single table. But you cannot hide the bleak truth from an observant old woman. I instantly recognized the sharp scent in the air. I smelled the heavy industrial lemon cleaner. It covered up the lingering smell of pure boredom. A young nurse at the front security desk stopped me immediately. She wore bright blue scrubs. Cartoon bears covered the fabric. She looked at me with wide eyes. She called me sweetie in a very loud voice. She spoke incredibly slowly. I absolutely hate that condescending tone. I am a grown woman with a century of brutal life experience. I survived global wars and severe economic depressions. I am not a helpless toddler. I gave her my absolute best icy stare. I walked straight down the incredibly long hallway to find my friend. Every single door looked exactly the same. They painted the walls a depressing shade of oatmeal. They covered the floors in thick beige carpets. I call this specific color a giving up beige. The entire building felt like a very expensive waiting room for the cemetery. I finally found Martha sitting quietly in her small room. She used to be a fierce pastoral gardener. She used to grow massive red roses in her backyard. Now she just stared blankly out a locked window. She wore 3 thick wool sweaters. She was visibly shivering under a thin fleece blanket. I asked her about the terrible heating situation. She looked very sad and entirely defeated. She told me the awful truth about her new life. The corporate administration locked the temperature controls behind a heavy plastic box. The facility kept the entire building at exactly 68 degrees. They claimed it saved energy. They claimed it prevented the spread of seasonal airborne germs. They completely stripped her of her thermostat sovereignty. This is an absolute human tragedy. You work your entire adult life. You pay off your massive 30-year mortgage. You earn the fundamental right to control your own living room temperature. Ah, an old person needs a deeply warm house. I keep my own living room at a glorious 78 degrees in the dead of winter. I walk around my house in a light cotton shirt. I refuse to surrender control of my own physical comfort to a corporate safety policy. We walked down to the massive dining hall for supper. The large digital clock on the wall said 4:30 in the afternoon. This is not a normal dinner time. This is merely a late afternoon snack, but the strict facility schedule dictates absolutely everything in the sterile cage. The residents formed a sad line with their metal walkers. The cafeteria staff scooped plain mashed potatoes onto heavy plastic plates. They served wet-boiled carrots without a single drop of real butter. They served pale-baked chicken breast. They used absolutely no salt. It looked exactly like a bland hospital meal. Martha ate her terrible food silently. She told me about the other ridiculous rules. The staff forcefully turned off the main television room at 8 o'clock sharp. They locked the outdoor patio doors right at sunset. They strictly managed everyone's daily shower times. They treated these amazing elders like naughty children at a strict summer camp. They completely erased their deep personal histories. They reduced living human beings to simple room numbers and daily medication schedules. Well, I felt completely suffocated in that sad dining room. I wanted to scream at the facility manager. I wanted to break a large window. I wanted to smuggle Martha out of there in my large leather purse. The glossy brochures always sell this awful environment as a perfectly safe paradise. They aggressively promise zero unexpected falls. They confidently promise zero missed pills. They sell the comforting illusion of total security to your anxious children. They are selling a terrible and highly profitable lie. A life without any physical risk is not a real life at all. It is merely a flat biological existence. I actively choose a very different path for my final years. I embrace a little bit of wild danger in my old age. I live completely alone in my creaky old house. I drink strong black coffee at midnight. I still climb onto a sturdy wooden step stool to reach my good china plates. I might slip on the kitchen floor one sunny morning. I might break a brittle hip bone. I fully and completely accept that harsh reality. I have very dark humor about my frail skeleton. My knees sound like snapping dry twigs every single morning. But I am fiercely and unapologetically free. I dictate my own daily narrative. I fiercely protect my remaining brain sparkle. I absolutely refuse to trade my vibrant human dignity for a safe room. I prefer a messy life in my own personal kingdom over a sterile cage. You must fight for your ultimate independence. You must firmly keep the heavy brass keys to your front door. Listen to me very carefully right now. You do not need to apologize for your fierce independence. You earned every single gray hair on your stubborn head. You paid your heavy dues to this loud society. You survived decades of exhausting work and deep personal heartache. The modern senior living industry wants you to feel incredibly small. They want you to feel constantly afraid of your own shadow. They want you to fold yourself up into a neat little beige box. They want to turn your vibrant existence into a highly manageable administrative problem. I want you to completely reject that ridiculous narrative today. You are still the undisputed author of your own beautiful life story. Your home is your well-deserved private sanctuary. You must defend your personal borders with absolute pride. Keep your heavy brass house keys tight in your own pocket. Keep your winter thermostat turned up to a glorious 78 degrees. Protect your daily brain sparkle at all costs. A little bit of physical risk is simply the mandatory price of true human freedom. I want you to do something very specific for me right now. I do not want you to click any shiny buttons on your computer screen. I do not want you to subscribe to my channel. I do not need your digital validation. I want you to close this video entirely. I want you to push yourself up from your comfortable chair. Walk over to the biggest window in your quiet house. Look out at the wide open sky. Take a very deep breath of clean air. Put a heavy metal kettle of water on the hot stove. Brew a strong cup of your absolute favorite loose leaf tea. Call your favorite grandchild on the telephone just to hear their young voice. Do not complain to them about your aching joints or your boring medical appointments. Just tell them a deeply funny story about your wild youth. Forgive someone very quickly today. Forgive your own self for your past mistakes. We are all just walking each other home in the end. Enjoy the beautiful absolute quiet of your own private house. You are doing perfectly fine on your own. You are deeply safe in your own sovereign kingdom. Now go live the rest of your beautiful life.